Bogotá, April 9, 1948. A single moment of violence is about to shatter a nation's soul. As the clock strikes 1:05 p.m., Jorge Eliécer Gaitán, the man of the people, the voice of the voiceless, steps out of his office into the crisp Andean air. He is smiling, flanked by friends, unaware that a shadow is closing in. 3 shots ring out. The air thickens with the smell of gunpowder and the sudden, deafening silence of a dream dying in the street. This isn't just an assassination. It is the spark that will turn the Athens of South America into a literal hell on earth. By nightfall, the city will be a smoking ruin, and Colombia will be plunged into a decade of darkness known as La Violencia. This is the day the music stopped and the fire began. Remember to comment, like, share and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes of the Calendar of Crime. Before we carry on with the story, to understand why 3 bullets could burn a city to the ground, you have to understand the man who took them. Jorge Eliécer Gaitán wasn't just another politician in a suit. He was a force of nature. A brilliant lawyer with a voice that could make thousands weep or roar. He had risen from a humble background to become the champion of the poor. He spoke of the oligarchy and the people, drawing a line in the sand that millions were ready to cross with him. By 1948, he was the undisputed leader of the Liberal Party and the man everyone expected to be the next president of Colombia. To his followers, he was a messiah. To his enemies, he was the most dangerous man in the country. The morning of April 9th started like any other for Gaitán. He had just finished a successful legal case early that morning and spent the few hours at his office in the Agustín Nieto building. Around 1:04 p.m., he decided to head out for lunch with a group of friends, including Plinio Mendoza Nera. They walked out of the building's entrance onto the busy Carrera Septima. The streets were crowded as the 9th Pan American Conference was being held in the city, bringing international eyes to Bogotá. But as Gaitán stepped onto the sidewalk, a man named Juan Roa Sierra was waiting. Roa Sierra was a 26-year-old drifter, a man described by many as unstable and obsessed with mysticism. He stepped forward and fired his revolver 4 times. 3 bullets hit Gaitán, 1 in the back and 2 in the head. The great orator collapsed, his blood staining the pavement of the city he loved. The reaction was instantaneous. The crowd didn't just scream, they transformed into a single vengeful beast. They chased Roa Sierra, who sought refuge in a nearby drugstore, but the mob broke down the doors. They didn't just kill him, they tore him apart, dragging his mutilated, naked body through the streets to the doors of the presidential palace. But the death of the assassin wasn't enough to quench the fire. As news of Gaitán's death spread via radio, the Bogotazo began. The city exploded. Liberal supporters, convinced the conservative government was behind the hit, took to the streets with machetes, torches and looted rifles. They weren't just rioting, they were purging. The beautiful colonial architecture of Bogotá became fuel for a massive conflagration. Trams were overturned and set ablaze. hardware stores were looted for weapons. The police, many of whom were liberal sympathizers, either stood aside or joined the mobs, handing out arms to the rioters. The government of President Mariano Ospina Perez found itself besieged in the Casa de Nariño. Outside, the city was a nightmare of smoke and screams. The army was called in, but the chaos was so widespread that control seemed impossible. Snipers fired from rooftops, and the sound of breaking glass was the only soundtrack to the night. By the time the fires died down and the smoke cleared, the heart of Bogotá was a skeleton. Thousands were dead. Some estimates say as many as 3,000, and the physical damage was in the hundreds of millions. But the true cost couldn't be measured in pesos or bricks. The Bogotazo was the bloody curtain raiser for La Violencia, a decade-long civil war that would claim hundreds of thousands of lives across the Colombian countryside. It radicalized a generation, creating the deep-seated political divisions that would eventually lead to the rise of guerrilla groups like the FARC. To this day, the question of who really pulled the strings behind Juan Roa Sierra remains one of history's greatest mysteries. Was he a lone madman or a puppet for the CIA, the conservatives, or even rival liberals? We may never know for sure, but the scars of April 9th remain etched into the streets of Bogotá, the heart of a nation that never got to see what Gaitán's Colombia could have been. Thanks for watching. Please comment, share, like, and subscribe for future episodes from the calendar of crime.